And we're live.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rose Bishop, and I'm really excited to talk about this new piece with you that I commissioned with Kellie Henry. We both led this consortium of a brand new piece for flute and wind ensemble, and I am here today to talk with the composer, Dr. Alan Theisen. How's it
Hey, how's it
going?
going, Rose? It's going great. How are you?
Great, yeah. So I would love if you could tell us more about your inspiration for the piece. What made you decide to write a piece based on New Orleans? Anything else you want to share with us? I'm just really excited to breathe life into this brand new piece.
Yeah, thanks for asking. And thank you for leading the consortium to create this piece with me. Um, New Orleans is a really phenomenal city, and it's been a cultural center in the United States since before the United States was a nation. And I spent several years of my life living near here, and now I live in the city proper. So this is a city and a culture and a history that means a lot to me. And I'm on this kick right now as a composer where I'm writing a series of concertos for wind instrument and band rather than wind instrument and orchestra. And part of that is just because I'm a band kid through and through. I'm a saxophonist, so I grew up in wind ensembles. And as you know, sometimes it can be really tricky to find good concertos for instrument and band. There are obviously numerous examples of instrument and orchestra. And so a lot of times it can be a little tough to dig around and find a concerto that you really want to sink your teeth into as a soloist to play with a band. So as a composer, that's a mission that I started around the time I was 40 years old. I'm 42 now. And I really have this goal over the next decade to write numerous concertos for solo instrument and band. So I started off a couple of years ago by writing a concerto for baritone saxophone and wind ensemble. I wrote a concerto for piano and wind ensemble. And for the next one up, I really wanted to do flute and wind ensemble. So that's when I reached out to you and Kellie. But I wanted to do something different than what I did with the Barry Sax Concerto and the Piano Concerto, which are really big, gnarly, aggressive, in your face, like uber works that are 20 minutes long, and especially the piano concerto, it's in six movements but really goes one right into the next. And so I wanted to do something that was musically a bit lighter, still challenging for the performers, but that's lighter in content and also modular. That is to say, you can play all five movements, or you can play mix and match and excerpt them or rearrange them to be more like a diversion or a suite. And so when I thought about doing that with the flute concerto, I decided, well, what would I want to do five movements on that would allow this kind of modular thinking? And I got thinking of doing a piece that was a tribute to the city of New Orleans and its history, because just like a history book, you could read it front to back, or you could kind of hop around and read different
Yeah.
chapters at different times. So there are five movements that move chronologically through the years and kind of people and places and in the history of New Orleans, and I just chose ones that meant something special to me. So this flute concerto is actually the third in a decade-long project that I have planned to write a bunch of concertos for instrument and wind ensemble.
That's great. And I love that each movement is sort of interchangeable. I am playing all five movements with both the Southeast Iowa
Ooh,
Band in 2 weeks, and then on March 3rd, and then 2 weeks later with the Quincy Concert Band in Illinois. We're doing all five. And then I'm playing the piece with two of my universities, Coe College and Cornell College, and we're doing three movements. And the two big movements that are the most exciting are movement three and movement five. And so
right,
um, both Coe and I believe Cornell want to end with three because it's like the most exciting to them, and it has
right,
really cool percussion parts.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, yeah, that third movement is I really wanted to do something different. With all five movements, I kind of wanted to create a sound world with each of these to reflect the year and the person or the place that I was thinking of. And so I tried to find different ways of highlighting flute with various combinations of within the wind ensemble. Because of course, when you write a concerto for solo instrument and band, one of the big challenges is balance, right? And especially if you're writing for flute and a full large wind ensemble, which is what I decided to do, I had to find little tricks and ways of navigating balance and what I wanted to do timbrally.
Yeah, that's great. So for the band parts, what kind of ensemble would you say this would be great for?
I think this is a piece that so the solo part, the solo flute part, is pretty darn challenging. It's a concerto, yeah, exactly. And Rose, God bless you, and all of the other flutists who are taking this piece on, because the flute part is technically demanding, it's stylistically demanding, and also endurance wise, it's a blow. I mean, I think you'd agree that all five movements, especially when you play them end to end, by the time you make it to the end, you feel like you've run a marathon in 15 minutes. And so that's, just the way I write, especially for phenomenal soloists like yourself. But the band part, I kind of wanted to do something different. Again, the Barry sax concerto and the piano concerto really require a wind ensemble that's, more advanced. But with the flute concerto, I wanted to write a piece that, obviously collegiate level wind ensembles could do it. But as you mentioned, community bands can also do it, and really good high school bands could also do it, especially if they want to do excerpts, right? So, I think if you had a high school band that was still developing, you could still play two out of the five movements and give it a good go, and I would be totally happy with that. So I think with the flute concerto, I wanted to do something that was a bit easier for high school bands to play and for community bands and things like that. So that was the intent, and I think that's going to play out.
Yeah, I really love that. Because, multiple different groups can play this piece and they
Right.
don't just have to do, the standard rep that we've all played.
Right.
I think everyone at some point will play the Chaminade Concertino, and it's a great piece, but the band part is pretty difficult. So
It
having
is.
like
It is.
this, where it's more accessible, I think that that's really important.
Right. And the chaminade, isn't that in the key of D?
Yeah,
Which makes perfect sense for orchestra, but the second you port it over to a band, then all of a sudden that's a way trickier, piece to perform in. And then of course you have an army of saxophones trying to sound like violas, and it creates headaches. And that's really one of the problems, when you do orchestral transcriptions of the big concertos for band, is that it takes the difficulty level and it actually ratchets it up, and then it can be really tricky to do that. So I wanted to write a piece for band with band in mind, and choose keys like A flat major and the flat keys and things like
the
that.
nice piece, our
The nice
favorite.
keys, you're right, exactly. And then the third movement, which is kind of bonkers, I wanted to highlight the percussion rather than have the wind ensemble play. So again, I tried to find ways of navigating keys and the duration of each of the movements and things like that to make it more playable for bands.
Yeah, that's great. And as part of this consortium, we had many different people join our consortium. But
Yeah.
for anyone that didn't join that's interested in playing your piece, how do they find it?
Well, there's a window of exclusivity. So for everybody who joined the consortium, they have sole access to it for a certain amount of time. There's also going to be a version of it for flute and piano, so a performable piano reduction, which I think is going to be really useful in getting the piece out there and allowing performers to engage with the concerto in recital formats as well. So there is a window of exclusivity that I believe is 18 months, or maybe 2 years. We'll have to double check on that. But as soon as it becomes available, I self-publish all of my own music. So it'll be available on my website, allentyson.com. And I have a store there, and I sell everything direct and through PDFs. So as soon as the piece is available, flutists will be able to find it. and purchase and immediately download the PDFs for the band parts, the band score, the solo part, the version with piano will be available for purchase as well. But that'll be a couple years from now after the window of exclusivity closes for all of the wonderful people who joined the consortium.
Great. Well, it's so nice to talk to you, and thank you for sharing all this with us.
Oh,
I'm so excited for this piece to be premiered in 2 weeks on March 3rd, and then getting to share a really great recording with everybody. So
I'm so looking forward to this too. And thank you, thank Kellie, thank everybody who joined the consortium for really taking this piece and drilling down and making sure that everybody has a great time with it. I really think the audiences are going to love this piece. There are so many different musical influences that I brought into this piece, from film music to French Impressionism to jazz to 20th century modernist atonality. It has all of these different influences. And I just think it's a blast to kind of hear all of these chapters of New Orleans long history represented, or at least slices of it, in the course of these 5 movements.
yeah. And as I've been putting this together with my 4 different groups, every single one has said how much they absolutely love this piece.
Oh, great.
Sometimes a piece is like hit or miss, but everybody's like, holy moly, like the coolest piece I've ever heard.
Aw.
Thank you so much. Like we're so pumped.
Oh man, that makes me so happy. Thank you for saying that to me. Well, and another part of the modular design is that, I mean, honestly, if you had a conductor or a soloist or a band who was like, wow, I really like movements 2 and 4 and 5, 3 not so much, then you could be like, well, let's do 2, 4, and 5, and I would be totally happy with that. So yeah, the modular design of the concerto also kind of lends itself to that. But thank you for sharing that with me. I've been getting some really good feedback as well. And so I'm just all aglow and tingly to bring this to people. I think audiences are going to love it. I think bands and conductors and obviously soloists are going to love it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So under this video, I'll share all the dates and locations to see this.
Yes.
A couple of them will do a live stream as well, so I'll post the links in that once I get them. But yeah, I have 4 performances in the next 8 weeks. So
yeah, and honestly, for everybody who sees this video, there are 5 movements in the flute concerto inspired by St. Louis Cathedral. And then the second movement is about Pirate Jean Lafitte. The third movement is about voodoo priestess Marie Laveau. The fourth movement is about Audubon Park. And the fifth movement is about Economy Hall, which was which played a significant role in the development of early jazz. So there are all of these really interesting slices. And to anybody who's watching this video, to anybody who listens to the concerto, I would absolutely love to get feedback. And we would love to get feedback about which movement is your favorite.
Yeah. Thank you so much for writing this.
Oh my gosh. No, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to it. I couldn't have asked for better collaborative partner and partners.
Awesome. Well, we'll share with you soon. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.